What happens when they get kidnapped? Oh, here it comes. Oh.
I feel like nowadays people talk about CGI as if it's like the worst thing that's ever happened to movies and just wish we could all go back to the good old days of watching Tom Cruise repeatedly try to kill himself for 2 hours. Even though half of those movies are still CGI and they just kind of lied about it. And look, I'm not a VFX guy, okay? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know how any of this stuff works. So this isn't going to be one of those videos where I like try and fix these things myself as like an industry professional. I'm just here to be a hater. But I kind of feel like the general vibe these days is that everyone feels like CGI has fallen off in the last 10 years after peaking in 2010 with classics like Pirates of the Caribbean, Avatar, and the Garfield movies. But you know what? Those people are stupid, okay? Because there's still plenty of super talented CG artists working on movies nowadays. It's just that they don't pay them anymore.
What the fuck is he doing?
I have nothing but respect for the people who don't get to see their kids for 6 months so they could animate Bumblebee pissing on a guy. As well as for the actors that have to stand there pretending to talk to Shadow the Hedgehog for an entire movie. Because, like, there's no way I would be doing that without having, like, a mental breakdown on set every day. But, like, what definitely has changed is the way that they use CGI. Because, like, back 150 years ago in the 90s, using any kind of effects like these would have bankrupted the entire studio. Because in those days, they would have actually had to pay their artists a fair wage, so they only used it when it was absolutely necessary.
What?
I am God here.
And he just did the soy jack face.
And yeah, it was kind of rough for a little while when every movie started using it and you had no idea if it was going to look as good as Terminator 2 or the last 10 minutes of Mortal Kombat Annihilation that looks like a goddamn bowling alley animation.
Impressive.
The close-up makes it look like the Shrek dragon.
It looks like the transformations from Race Against Time.
This looks like Beast Wars.
Hey, chill on Beast Wars, bro.
But like, instead of using it just for things that can't be done any other way, like finding a woman that would willingly kiss Jonah Hill, they're using CGI for literally everything, like with how Marvel refuses to have a single physical prop on set anymore. Like, you look online and you can find so many pissed off VFX artists writing like whole-ass novels about how much they hate working with Marvel, because of how many times they change their minds or make them redo half the movie at the last minute. Which you can see with how they're filming Avengers Doomsday before they even have a script ready yet, because they've been making their movies with like progressively more and more green screen until they get to the point where they literally haven't let their actors go outside in like 5 years. Like with this shot of Nick Fury in Spider-Man Far From Home, the background is CGI, the gun is CGI, this car is CGI, and like, I'm not saying it doesn't look good and that my dumbass can even tell the difference. I'm just saying, like, if they're gonna overwork these people, could they at least do it for more important stuff? Like, I don't know, not making the entire final battle of Black Panther look like a goddamn Tekken cutscene. And so that's how you've ended up with like some of the jankier scenes in any of the Phase 4 movies, like that Roblox ass explosion in Black Widow, or the entire last episode of She-Hulk, or the floating head scene in Thor 4 where Chris Hemsworth dead names an orphan for 5 minutes.
Your father gave you a very tough Viking name, and I intend to honor his wishes.
Axel.
Astrid.
I said Axel.
Astrid.
Axel!
Why are there 2 fire extinguishers right next to each other?
That's how fire the scene is, bro.
It's just, his camera was bad for the Zoom call, that's all.
He was filming it on a webcam. And then, as if the VFX artists hadn't suffered enough for having their names in the credits of Thor: Love and Thunder, they then had the director of the movie publicly trash talk their work.
Okay. Does that look real?
In that particular shot, no, actually.
Same with like The Flash, which is one of the worst looking movies I've ever seen in my entire life, because you can tell the difference between when they're using an actual suit versus like a fully CGI body, because it's when the movie looks like it's permanently stuck on big head mode. And I mean, man, you really have to feel bad, because like 90% of the VFX in all of these movies still look good. Like even Ant-Man 3 has got some cool ass looking scenes in there, but no one gives a shit, because the only thing people are gonna remember are like MODOK's ass cheeks. Same with like Doctor Strange's annoying orange ass looking eye that some guy probably did in like CapCut, but that's not even because like the CGI is bad. I just think some shit's gonna look weird no matter how well done it is. Like, for example, I'm gonna say something that no one has said in the last 6 years, but like, we gotta talk about Cats, right? Where, you know, obviously they thought that having everyone be in costumes like the stage show would have looked too weird. So clearly the better solution was to make everyone look like a fucked up Snapchat filter. Like, can you imagine having to go to work for like 17 hours a day to have someone come up to you and then tell you to spend like an entire week of your life scrubbing out Jason Derulo's cat bulge? Like, honestly, thank God they don't have anything real on set anymore, or else you would have had some people making some real good use out of that prop gun. Like, Like, it was so much work for the VFX team that they were, like, still working on it after it released in cinemas, which is why you have cats, like, with unrendered fur that are clipping through the ground, and a shot where, like, Cat Judi Dench had, like, a human hand that they forgot to CG. This shit was, like, the Cyberpunk 2077 of movies. But again here, like, the VFX is actually really impressive. It's just, like, the worst idea that anyone's ever had.
This is the actual real event that happened, by the way. This is real. This actually happened in the 50s.
Oh, wait.
Yes, this is the recent actual tragedy, I should clarify.
This is how they adapted it to film.
If that happened in real life, why didn't they just do it in real life?
Why did they just do it again?
Kill all of the extras.
Same with like Henry Cavill not being able to shave his Mission Impossible mustache for the Justice League reshoot, so they had to spend $3 million making him look perpetually constipated. Like, there's only so much you can do to make that look like an actual mouth, dude. I mean, people in general are just like the easiest place to spot shitty CGI, because it's the thing that unfortunately most of us have to look at on a daily basis. Like, we all know what people are meant to look like, alright? And that is not what a person looks like. For example, the scary-ass Twilight baby. What the fuck is that? Seriously, dude.
Could they just not afford a real baby?
How hard is it to get a baby? They have them in hospitals for free.
You can just take any baby from the hospital if you want.
The government doesn't want you to know. It's free. Have you guys seen, like, they were gonna get, like, a doll for it, and it looks even worse?
Oh,
What?
Oh.
it looks like Megan.
Megan.
It looks like Megan.
You get the baby from American Sniper, dude.
Yeah, but you see, they can't wait.
Real
We can't.
baby.
Move. He needs resuscitation.
He's using his finger.
Never mind.
Yeah, just not very well.
Everyone loves shitting on the Polar Express ass looking Dwayne Johnson from The Mummy 2, which was probably like a time thing because he was so busy with his day job of being beaten up by half-naked men that he was more absent than my father on the set of that movie. So they probably just had to import his model from the SmackDown PS2 game or some shit. And even though modern effects still aren't powerful enough to handle a CGI Dwayne Johnson, at least we no longer have to take like the Netflix route of getting a 46-year-old man to play a high school version of a character when they can just digitally de-age people now. Which sometimes looks so good you don't even notice the elder abuse, and sometimes it's Robert De Niro in The Irishman.
He is 100% not a very elderly man who can hardly move.
He doesn't even look like he's making contact. He looks like he's slightly stepping
Stomping
next
like,
to him.
yeah, exactly.
But I mean, at least it's still not as bad as when they CGI dead people, where they honor the memory of these talented actors by turning them into $40 million Oblivion NPCs.
The thing is, what really gets me is they had a guy who looks like Peter Cushing, and they had a lady who looks like Carrie Fisher, and they just didn't use either of them.
It's the same with Luke in The Mandalorian. They have a guy who's the fucking spitting image of Mark Hamill. Mark
Exactly!
Hamill.
Luke Graham looks exactly like fucking Luke, and they still put Mark Hamill's face on him. Like, bro!
Like, you know, when they dug up a whole graveyard for the ending of The Flash just for like a bunch of unnecessary cameos that no one asked for. So you got like Christopher Reeve looking like one of those stretched ass Walter White masks. And they can say it's meant to look weird all they want, okay? It doesn't make the unrendered sex doll versions of the Justice League cast look any better, okay? But you know what came out 16 years before this that absolutely shits on that movie? The Transformers movie. And I know, okay, the only thing anyone remembers those for is for being 2 hours of indistinguishable blobs of metal pounding the shit out of each other and like blatant racism. Like, the first couple movies are almost coming up to being old enough to vote, and nothing has ever come close to the realism of Devastator's CGI testicles. Like, I don't know what Michael Bay was feeding those VFX artists, but this shit refuses to age. Like, look at this shot of Optimus Prime, bro. That is, like, straight up a real guy. And this was 2007, okay? That's the same year as Spider-Man 3 and Ben 10 Race Against Time. Like, the model for Devastator in the second movie was so complicated that it literally blew up their computers as an act of God to punish them for making Revenge of the Fallen. But I'm always gonna think the Transformers movies are like the best example of how good something can look when you combine practical and CGI effects, but also how much easier it is to do giant robots that are CGI Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my god.
I never noticed that.
Why did they do that?
Yeah, Adam, why didn't they do this to Shia LaBeouf in real life? Why didn't they just fucking kill the guy?
You know Michael Bay would have if he could have. But here's the thing, okay? From 1982. Even as the biggest meat writer of this movie, I will be the first to admit that the effects in the original thing look a little silly now, okay? I'll admit it. But it still looks better than this thing, which came out 30 years after, because they made the entire thing with the world's most dog shit CGI, where every effect looks like a friggin' glitch from Fallout New Vegas. But the worst thing is that they actually were gonna use a bunch of really good-looking practical effects, just like in the original movie, until some dumbass at the studio thought that no one was gonna take these kind of effects seriously in 2011. I mean, Zookeeper just came out, man. We're gonna step up a fucking game, guys.
I have a proposition. I want to show you something from a fully CGI thing. There's one thing that's off about it.
A real person superimposed.
It's awesome.
It's so funny.
Is it
I have-
CGI or is it a poorly composited
It's just-
real
it's just-
image?
It's just a PNG of a dog.
Yeah.
Or even better example, look at Star Wars, right? Where the creator George Lucas is literally incapable of leaving his movies alone. There's like 5 different versions of the Han Solo Greedo scene. And we saw what happened as soon as this dude found out about CGI, okay? That's what happened with the prequels and why every single one of those movies looks like fucking Spy Kids 3D.
He's mogging.
He's mugging a child.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on the dog. But one day, he had the idea to use CG to go back and make changes to the original Star Wars movies and make them closer to his original vision, which apparently meant making them all look like complete arse.
One of the funnier changes in A New Hope, there's a bit where Han Solo runs down a hallway and like he comes
that's
across
good,
like a squad of stormtroopers, but for some reason in the special edition, George Lucas added like 1 million fucking stormtroopers
Yeah,
in that
but I
room.
like it.
There's so many more.
Why are they all just standing there while the Death Star's being invaded though? They're literally aura farming.
It's like the fucking rock that they put in front of R2, like here.
Yeah.
Why? How did he get in there? But look, I can complain about creepy Force Ghost Hayden Christensen all I want, but like you don't know how bad it gets until you look at mid-budget TV shows, okay? Ask literally any Doctor Who fan. Have you guys ever been in one of those like 4D experience shit at like theme parks? That's what this shit looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so spoiled these days with big budget streaming shit like Stranger Things and The Mandalorian that you forget that TV shows used to look like this.
Me when I have to shoot my dog because I'm
Bored or something.
The deer, it looks like a free green screen special effect.
Yeah.
I also keep glancing up at the sign and thinking it says deer, but it literally just barely.
Okay, they made a whole ass Terminator show with the budget of like an NCIS episode, and the results were not pretty. Like, dude, Team Wolf CGI is like borderline unwatchable. I don't know how anyone let this shit slide.
Barack Obama, it will almost be an honor to kill you.
But I don't think anything is ever going to be as bad as like the CW Flash shows, which had effects on the level of like the brain rot AI shit that my mum keeps sending me on Instagram reels.
You have to bring up Supergirl then.
This here, where she just like...
Just dragged across the screen by a mouse.
like Microsoft PowerPoint.
Exactly.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about an industry I have absolutely no experience or knowledge of whatsoever, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night, chat.
I gotta tell you one thing about the original Star Wars. So you know how Luke trains to use his lightsaber in the movie, but he never once actually uses it for anything in the actual movie?
Everyone in the world has noticed it.
That's a very good point. No, I didn't. That's a great point. He does not.
They have all the build up to it, and then he never uses it. So if they never made like a sequel to it, it would have really sucked. Because it would be like, what's the point of any of that? Is George a fucking idiot?